on the Crawford-Madrimov card Saturday night at the BMO Stadium in Los Angeles. There is a crossroads heavyweight fight or a step-up heavyweight fight, however you want to look at it, taking place, that I think is very interesting. America's new young heavyweight hope, Jared Anderson, who calls himself a real big baby. We'll see what Jarrell Miller has to say about that. Is, in my opinion, taking a step up in class when he faces the dark horse of a heavyweight division, and that's, of course, Martin Bakole. I think this is a potential banana skin for Jared Anderson, or else it can be his coming out party. If you're interested in breaking that down, then stick around. Now, Jared Anderson is 17-0 with impressive looking 15 knockouts. He's ranked in the top 10 by The Ring at number 7 and by Transnational Boxing Board rankings. I think those are the best two independent ranking systems. There's at number 7 as well. And he's facing Martin Bakole. Martin Bakole only has one defeat earlier in his career, quite a bit earlier, against Michael Hunter, an injury-induced TKO, but he's been on a long winning streak and he's been knocking at the door and he's been waiting for an opportunity. Now, I would argue that Jared Anderson's rating flatters him a little bit. The best guys on his record quality-wise were Charles Martin, who briefly had that IBF heavyweight belt before Anthony Joshua relieved him of it, and Riyad Mary, a former cruiserweight belt holder. And those are the two best guys on his record. Now, against Charles Martin, he fought well, he won well enough, but he had some very torrid moments when Martin zapped him with that southpaw straight left, and in the last round as well, and had him in all kinds of trouble, and he just sort of fought through the trouble. And since then, he's been quite impressive, and against Riyad Mary, he won a wide decision, but Mary more or less fought there to survive, so he couldn't tell anything from it. So he had a gut check against Charles Martin, and he came through it, but he looked very wonky to me. He didn't hold, he did some wrong things, and the two subsequent fights didn't really give him a test again to see if he's learned from that. Now, there's a lot of things in Jared Anderson to like, don't get me wrong. He's got a very nice educated jab, and I like how he varies the speed, varies the target, goes downstairs, upstairs, upstairs, downstairs with that long left stick of his. He works the body nice, good right hand. Everything is fine until he gets hit, and then he sort of just stands there and tries to fight through the fog. Now, does his knockout record flatter him? Because he couldn't get Charles Martin out of there, and he couldn't get Riyad Mary out of there. Now, it's hard against a guy who's just trying to survive. Against Charles Martin, you know, this is a guy that Luis Ortiz knocked cold a fight earlier, and Anderson couldn't get him out of there. So you could say it was a more spirited Martin. I don't know. I don't think Jared Anderson's power is such that he's going to be able to knock out Martin Bakole, because Bakole is a taller guy than Jared Anderson. I can't find what his reach is, but he's a physically broad, heavy, imposing sort of heavyweight who plods forward, and he has got these slashing hooks and uppercuts and combinations that he throws. Very deceptively quick for his size. He's half brother, for those of you who didn't know, of Ilunga Junior Makabu, a former WBC cruiserweight champion of the world. We know Junior Makabu well here in South Africa, of course. He had many of his fights here. Now, Martin Bakole is his half brother. He's a Congolese fighter based in Scotland, I believe. Now, Bakole has scored a good win. He was the first guy to burst the bubble of Tony Yoka, outpointing him there in France, knocking him down, simply mugging him and whatnot. And we know Tony Yoka since has been beaten by Carlos Takam and the same Riyad Mary. So in retrospect, it doesn't look so great anymore. But Martin Bakole is a dangerous fighter. In his last fight, he took out Carlos Takam quite easily. And we know Takam is a guy that you can take out, but usually he hangs tough. What worries me about Martin Bakole, he's not the hardest guy to find. You can hit him, and his weight is almost a 300-pounder, you know. And in his last fight with Carlos Takam, his weight, to me, he was a little bit too heavy. His hands were still quick, but I don't think he needs to be that heavy against Jared Anderson. So let's hope he comes in lighter than that. But this is a big gut check, because Jared Anderson, in order to win this fight, he's going to have to work on that left jab. He's going to have to be busy with a left jab, keep on streaming it into Martin Bakole, and throw the combinations on the body, because Bakole is a broad guy, you can hardly miss him there, and keep moving, stepping around, keep changing angles. But at some point, Bakole is going to open up, and if he stands there like he did against Charles Martin, I think Bakole will finish him. Bakole is a physically more imposing guy than Charles Martin. His hand speed is about the same. And the other thing that I noticed about Jared Anderson, in all his fights so far, he's dictated. He's the guy who has been the ring general, and he comes steadily forward while he moves the other guys back. Now, I would like to see him move Martin Bakole back. I think he's going to have a little bit of he's going to battle to make Bakole move back. And if Bakole pushes Anderson back, I want to see what he does, because he's going to have that pressure on him that he might not have had before. Now, guys, tell me in the comment section who wins, Jared Anderson or Martin Bakole. How do they win, and why do they win? Because I think this is an intriguing heavyweight matchup. If Jared Anderson can come through here in style, he really established himself as a player in the heavyweight division, or Bakole might upend the apple cart, and this might be his big opportunity, and he might show us that Jared Anderson wasn't that good after all. I'm going to go with an underdog here. I think Martin Bakole, providing he's in shape, and if he's not in shape for this big opportunity, then something there is not screwed on right. And I think Martin Bakole, if he puts forth the effort that he put there against Tony Yoka, against Carlos Takam, albeit I think he needs to be a little bit lighter than that. He needs to be around 275. If he puts forth that effort, you know, I don't think Jared Anderson, simply, he can knock out Charles Martin. Jared Anderson couldn't. I don't think he's going to have the power to get Bakole out of there. I don't see that coming. I think he'll have to look for a points win. But if he can keep on putting the pressure on Jared Anderson, eventually, you know, catch him like Charles Martin did, because it looks sort of basic, these hook combinations that he throws, but his half brother also throws those combinations, and they come from awkward angles, and they're deceptively quick, and I think he's going to catch Jared Anderson at some point. And I think if he hurts him, if Martin could hurt him, I think Bakole can hurt him as well. So I think this is going to be an entertaining slugfest, and a lot of jockeying for position while it lasts. But I think Martin Bakole is going to upend Jared Anderson here, and I'm going for Bakole to stop Jared Anderson in 8 rounds or so. That's what I'm thinking. I think there's an upset on the cards, because I don't think Bakole is easily going to win on points there, because the boxing fraternity there where we're fighting in LA in America, they definitely want Jared Anderson to be the guy. But I think also Bakole realizes that. So that's what I think. I think Martin Bakole is going to be a step for Jared Anderson, where things are going to be exposed. I might be wrong, of course. We know I'm often wrong. That's the beauty of a sport. But that is what I think there. So guys, that is it for the big card in the City of Angels. There's great other fights also. Isaac Cruz is on, Pitbull was on, and a couple of other fighters. And of course, the main event, enjoy the boxing on the zone. I think it's a card that's pay-per-view worthy. And until I see you guys again, remember to keep those hands up.